Good afternoon. I'm Michael Lockman, President of EyeQ Research, and I'll be providing an update regarding the OIS Index, an ophthalmic industry stock index, which we've developed as a tool to track the investment performance of publicly traded growth companies in ophthalmology. I'll be talking about performance of ophthalmic stocks over the past 6 months since the Academy, and looking ahead at events that could impact these stocks over the coming 6 to 8 months. Like other market sector indices, the OIS index is market cap weighted, with the largest companies capped so that they don't completely dominate the index. Over the past 6 months, we've added 1 company, RPO Pharma, and removed 2 companies, bringing the total to 34. Ophthalmic device companies account for just about a quarter of the companies in the index, but account for nearly 2/3 of total market value and just over 1/3 of market value after the capping and weighting process. Looking at how ophthalmic stocks have performed over the past 6 months, the left half of this graph represents Q4 of last year. The right side shows Q1 of this year. The OIS index, which is the blue line on this chart, declined by about 2% over this period, but performed well relative to its market benchmarks, which are also shown on this chart. In Q4 of last year, the OIS index underperformed, declining by about 28%. This was largely a valuation correction following a strong couple of quarters for ophthalmic stocks. Over the 6 months prior to the beginning of this chart, ophthalmic stocks had outperformed, and the index had actually gained 28%. Ophthalmic stocks staged a strong recovery in Q1, gaining 37%, driven almost entirely by events in the gene therapy space during February and March. Speaking of those gene therapy stocks, Spark Therapeutics more than doubled, driven by the announced Roche acquisition. Because of Spark's high weighting within the index, this stock alone accounted for over half of all of the gains in the index over the past 6 months. Other gene therapy stocks that drove the index higher were Nightstar, which is being acquired by Biogen, and Mira GTX, which announced the collaboration with an investment from Janssen. Other positive drivers included Glaukos, KalVista, Harrow Health, and Inovia. I won't review all of the negative drivers in detail. You can see them listed here. I would note that the companies listed in the top half of this graph, which accounted for most of the declines, were largely absent specific negative news flow and events. These were stocks that had run up in the weeks and months leading up to the beginning of Q4 of last year and experienced valuation corrections over the past 6 months. The bottom half of this slide shows companies that have experienced disappointing clinical results and other setbacks over the past few months. During our mid-year index update in July, we plan to add the newly independent Alcon, along with contact lens supplier Cooper. These 2 will become the 2 highest valuation stocks in the index. We'll also add Avedro, which went public in February, and REGENXBIO, a gene therapy company with a growing focus on ophthalmology. These changes will result in a more even split between ophthalmic device and biopharma valuations within the index. Switching gears and looking at some of the events that could drive the index over the coming months. On the device side, Alcon plans submissions with possibly some approvals for 3 important new IOL platforms. Bausch plans a premium contact lens launch and line extensions in its vitamin franchise, and STAAR could see FDA approval of the EVO Visian ICL later this year. With regard to biopharma product launches, Aerie is launching Rocklatan in the US this week. Ocular Therapeutics plans a second-half launch of Dextenza and hopes for an expanded label, and Zerviate from Nycox and partner Eyevance will be launched this summer. Looking at AMD and DME pipelines, Molecular Partners, in collaboration with Allergan, has important milestones this year related to late-stage programs in DARPin therapy for AMD and DME. KalVista and Oxurion expect progress in phase 2 DME programs. Opthea and REGENXBIO plan to report top-line phase 2 data later this year, and REGENXBIO plans to announce a new indication under development. In other clinical segments, GenSight reported top-line phase 3 trial data from this podium this morning. Aldera has key milestones in 2 late-stage programs later this year. EyePoint plans a supplemental NDA filing for short-acting formulation of YUTIQ. Kala and Clearside have PDUFA dates in August and October, respectively. And finally, Mira GTX and AGTC plan to report data from multiple phase 1 and 2 retinal gene therapy trials this year. As always, feel free to get in touch if you have any ideas or feedback regarding the OIS index. Thank you.